Um, How's it, guys? Hope you can hear me. I'm kind of reaching off Corner Cafe Wi-Fi because I'm at your show right now. I'm not sure how long I've been given, so I'll try to make it quick. The degree I'm studying is a BA International Relations, Politics and Philosophy, and I'm studying at WITS. So we've been online since last year, so none of us have really been going to campus. But the subject of my degree is politics, of course, looks at the internal functioning of the state. International relations takes that reasoning and expands it to the international level, looking at how governments interact with governments, and philosophy is its own thing, which I'll get into later. So the primary advantage of my degree, I've always thought, is that you look at the world and quite honestly, it looks like a really big mess. Just looks like nothing's functioning. No one really knows what's going on. And yeah, everything just seems broken. So the cool thing that I really enjoy about my degree is you kind of learn how to decipher the mess and really understand what's going on. An example of this is in international relations of doing one subject called RPE, which is International Political Economy. The reasoning behind it is that people wanted to understand how the world functioned, so they looked at politics. But then they saw that politics was inefficient in terms of completely understanding how the world functions. So they decided that they took a different path and decided to look at how money works. That's how the field of economics was born. Try to understand the world through the functioning of money. But they found that you can't look at either of these topics in isolation. You understand how they work together. So the international relations field of the international political economy was born, which looks at how politics affects money, how money affects politics, and ultimately how all of it affects the world. The subject I'm doing, I'm most passionate about, though, definitely is philosophy. There definitely seems to be an attitude within the world today, and I think it's especially prevalent within the Jewish community, unfortunately, that philosophy is pretty much a waste of subject. I mean, the common statement that people generally throw at you is, well, what job are you going to get with philosophy? So I just like to recall something that my philosophy lecturer actually said. So when she was busy studying her honors, there was two people in her honors course. There was her and this other guy. Now, she went on to become an academic. She teaches philosophy, of course. This other guy did an LLB in addition to his philosophy honors, and he found it seemed to be that because of the process of argumentative reasoning which he developed in philosophy, it made him a much better advocate and a much better lawyer. What philosophy really teaches you to do is it teaches you to analyze any argument and concisely and efficiently find the root problems in arguments. You'll find, especially when it comes to discourse upon international relations, you can see it very clearly with the Israel versus Palestine debate, and really any debate of controversy. You'll try to have a conversation with people, and the conversation either runs around in circles, doesn't really go anywhere. No one really takes each other's points. And if someone will make a point, someone throws out a statement which it seems like he's trying to refute the point, but doesn't actually do so. What philosophy does, it teaches you to analyze arguments, it teaches you to analyze debates. It's very efficient in doing so. And yeah, what I'm trying to get to is that it essentially teaches you to think, it's not uncommon that CEOs of companies very often say apply. A lot of reasons argue to consider it for myself, but I think it's definitely a subject that's worth taking if you want to supplement one of the other courses of study. Sorry, got cut off there. The final point I was making was that don't take philosophy by itself, because of course all of us do want to get a job, but very good to take it in my mind and use it to supplement another course that you're doing. And yeah, I think that it's actually a very beneficial subject. People don't fully understand it, but it teaches you a lot. And yeah, that's my degree. I hope you guys could hear me.
Cool, thanks, man. That was actually quite interesting. As someone who did philosophy himself as one of his majors, I fully agree with what you have to say about the course. And yeah, you were speaking some truth there, that's for sure. But thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks for that, otherwise cool.
Rachel, you can start talking now if you'd like.
Hello, everyone. So I'm currently in my second year at the animation school, and it's a 3-year course. And at the end of it, you get a diploma in digital animation. So the thing about the animation industry is that they don't really look into if you got a degree or diploma. There's like 3 important things they look at. One is what school you went to. 2 is like your ability, like how good your work is. And 3 is your show reel, which is basically like your portfolio for animation. It's like all the videos and like what you made. So the thing about the animation school, it's like ranked 13 in the world, and it's also won like over 123 awards for their student films. So yeah, it's a very well-known school. And then there's like, do you know that there's a movie Kumba made by Triggerfish? It's quite like, yeah, I don't know if anyone knows it, but that movie, yeah, it's just made by Triggerfish, and Triggerfish is like one of the big animation companies in South Africa, and they like take students from the animation school. And yeah, the animation school's very well known. So yeah, so I'm going to take you through what we do in the course. So during first year, we start off by learning introduction to animation. So it's like the history of animation. We do a presentation in groups. It's very cool. And also we learn like color and composition. So that comes into all your animation and like all filmmaking and art. It's very important. Like, yeah, so you learn that in first year. And then we go on to 2D digital animation. So 2D is like when you watch like SpongeBob and those cartoons on TV, it's like the flat drawings and you draw every frame. So that's 2D. And then 3D is like Frozen. It's like 3D characters. You actually model the characters and then you like make them move and stuff. So 2D is what we do first. I'm going to see if I can share screen and show you my 2D video from first year. Let's see. You can tell me if it works or not.
Planty, what do you want to do this morning? Watch TV? Me too!
I don't know if that worked. Can someone tell me if you could see that?
The screen was static. I couldn't really see anything.
Okay, let me try again.
Hey, Planty, what do you want to do this morning? Watch TV? Me too!
Could you see that? If you couldn't, it's okay. I just wanted
Yeah, I could see that one now.
Oh, okay, fine. There you go. So yeah, that we design characters. I can show you. Let's see. This was my character. His name's Nigiri. It's my favorite type of sushi, so I named him that. And then you like do a whole like character development, and you learn how to like write stories, and then we make a film at the end of the year. So that's that. Then we go on to starting 3D production. So you learn how to model like on Maya, that's the program we use. And then, so we did a 3D set, and we also did a 3D prop. and we made like an advert. So this is something you can go into after doing animation. You can go into advertising and you learn how to, I'll show you. You learn how, like when you, so this is like, if you ever go on TV and you see like those adverts of like an Apple Watch, that's animation. And yeah, so this is how we learned how to do that. So I did one of a mix master. Everyone had to choose a product. They gave us like brands, and then we made a video, an advert of it. So that's the product I did. And then this is a 3D environment we did in first year also. So you like build an environment and your character will move around in it. So it's like, yeah, it's like a 3D model on your computer, like a dollhouse. So this was the one that I did. Yeah. Okay, so that's oh, and then also in the beginning of first year, you have a group project in each year. So let me check my time. So in first year, our group project was stop motion. So I don't have the video here, but we did a stop motion video, because also in the animation industry, you're working in teams the whole time. So it's very important to be able to work well in a team. So yeah, and they really watch how well you work in a team. Even when, yeah, and also when you're getting interviewed for a company, they make sure that like you can work well in a team and communicate with others. So that's first year. Now I'm in second year, and so we start off with story writing. It's also, yeah, very important to write good stories. So actually in third year, we make films. So in the second year, we learn how to write stories for the films, and then some of them are chosen as the films in third year. So we do that, and then also we did a comic book this year. Just ignore it from the background. We did a comic book. Also, that's our group project of the year. And so yeah, we did that, and then we learned how to make 3D characters. So what I showed you, what we did in first year, they're just like 3D objects, like they don't move or anything. So then in second year, you actually learn how to model a character. Then you do texturing. Each thing you do is like a different part of the production pipeline, so when you start working, you'll only do one thing. So you either do modeling or texturing or rigging or like compositing. Yeah, so we start off by modeling the character, and then we texture them, where you color them in, and yeah, and then we rig the character. So you have a character, and then you build a skeleton inside of them. Then you give the skeleton controls to move, and then you can animate with it. So yeah, so that's like one part of the production pipeline. You can go into rigging, which is like building the skeleton and the controls for your character, and then the animator will take what the rigger did and they can animate and move it around. So I've got my character, I'll show you. So this year I did a character, her name is Ray. She's a superhero, so we have to like write stories and develop our characters. So this is Ray. So this is after she's textured and rigged. I could move her around, and yeah, so that's her. Let's see if I've got anything else on Ray. Oh yeah, so this is after I textured her. We had to like render her. Render is when you like process the frame on your computer. I think people know what rendering is, but so we had to render her with all her textures on. So this is Ray rendered with her textures. And yeah, so that's that. I'm trying to see what else we do in second year. Oh, and then at the end of the year, we make a short, like 10-second film of your character. So we like build her an environment that she's going to be in, and then you make a little video of her, and we're going to learn how to like lip sync so that they can talk with the sound. Yeah, you know what lip syncing is. And yeah, so that's second year. And then so at the end of second year, you choose your electives. So that will be like either you'll be a modeler or an animator or a rigger or compositor, or you work on lighting. So we choose that, and at the beginning of third year, you start we have proper courses just based on what your electives are. And then for the rest of the year, we work on a short film. So basically, third year is basically how we're going to be working for the rest of like in our job careers. Like, so we're making a film like as if we were in industry. And you can actually go on YouTube and search the animation school. The films are so cool. I watch them all the time. I love them. But yeah, so then you can see that's what we have at the end. It's a 3-minute film. It sounds short, but it's actually really long. Like the video that I'm making for the end of the year is 10 seconds, and that's like long. And then at the end, they teach us professional development. So that's 3rd year. So now, what do you need to apply to the animation school? First of all, I didn't know how to turn on the computer before I went to the animation school. So like, you really, if you can't use a computer, it's not a problem. The lecturers are so good. They like literally like hold your hand while you're studying. So it's really not like a big deal if you can't use a computer. The only thing is you do need a computer. Like, my computer is pretty powerful because like, yeah, to render things and animate things, you really do need a powerful computer, else your computer will crash every 10 seconds. So yeah, but the thing is, because we went online and we haven't been on campus, the animation school actually, like, people who can't afford to get a powerful computer, they actually let them take home just to borrow the school's computers. So they're a very good school. So what you need to apply, you need a portfolio of like 6 to 12 artworks. And then they also give you a template and you design a comic strip to show how to apply to the animation school. They just like need to make sure you know how to like, I don't know, like show information in art and yeah. And then a motivational letter on why you want to study at the animation school. And then you get an interview. So like, I was in Israel and I got a call from the head of the animation school, and yeah, it's very chilled. It's very easy, and they're very nice at the animation school. So the campus is in Randburg. It's actually very close to Vega. So if you have any friends going to Vega, just carpool with them, very easy.
Rachel.
And then so the hours in 1st year, yeah, I'm at the end.
Okay, cool.
So the hours in 1st and 2nd year, it's 8 to 12. And then in 3rd year, it's 1 to 5. But because of COVID, we've been all online. So the lectures have been available from 8 to 5. So yeah, they've been very good with that. And yeah, and then there's another campus in Cape Town, which is really cool because we've been online. They've been putting us with the Cape Town people. So yeah, it's been cool to work with them, and that's everything. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Your degree actually sounds insane. But now, Tal, if you want to hit us up with some educational insights.
Hi, can everyone see me?
Yeah.
Hi, I am in 3rd year education at Wits, and I'll just tell you a little bit about the degree and the perks of the degree and misconceptions of the degree. Basically, to get into education, you can go around by 4 different routes. The first one is by doing foundation phase, which is play school all the way until grade 3. Then it is intermediate phase, in which what I'm doing, and that is grade 4 to 7. Then there is FET, which is high school, grade 8 to 12. Or you could also do an undergrad in anything, psychology, law, anything, and then you do a PGCE, which is your honors in education, and then you can become a lecturer or you can talk on that subject. So those are like the ways to go about getting in. And the point system, there's not so many points to get in. I can't remember exactly how much points it is. You don't need maths, you don't need science, and you don't need to do any SATs or NBTs. It's very easy to get in. And yeah, that's on that. Our block is set up into 2 blocks for semesters. So the first block, what we do is you do all the work and you learn your subjects and methodology subjects. So you learn maths and then you learn how to teach maths. You learn science and you learn how to teach science. And you also do a subject called education, which is broken up into psychology, sociology, philosophy, and all based on education. So why we do what we do, the basis of what we do, the science behind why we teach, and the methods we use to teach. Then you also have to choose an elective. The electives, they sound quite silly, but you choose one every single year. You have to do a language. The language options are sign language, which is what I do. It's so much fun. And there is Zulu or Sotho. And the other ones are fun for choir, art for teachers, PE, and drama. And then you also do something called school-based support, which is basically you can become a school psychologist with that course, and you actually get an extra diploma. So it's really nice for your CV. That's what I'm doing. Just taking my notes. Okay, so a bit of misconceptions about the degree is that it's easy. It's not easy. They always say those that can't do teach. It's not true. You have to love what you're doing, or otherwise you're going to hate every second of it, especially because you don't get paid a lot. So if you're not getting paid enough to do what you don't like to do, you're going to absolutely hate it. But it's a very meaningful degree. Honestly, like you go in and your kids are amazing. They are so sweet. And like I love what I do. Every morning I wake up and I can't wait to go into school. The second semester, the second blocks is you actually do prac. So you go into a school for 6 weeks. Because of COVID, we're doing 4 weeks. And you go into schools and you teach, and it's the practical part of it, which I think you learn the most from that out of anything in the whole entire degree. And when you're there, you actually get paid. You get paid by bits for travel money or for clothing if you don't have enough, like teacher clothes, or printing if you need to print. So now some misconceptions on the degree is also that, so we said that it's easy, it's not easy, and that it's like a chilled degree. There is so much admin to it. You have to make lesson plans, you have to make rationales, you have to make unit concept plans, you have to make posters, you have to make, it's a degree about children, so you're going to have to make like children's books, you're going to have to make lessons, it's PowerPoint, so it's a very like hands-on degree, but it's definitely worth it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do. And also some reasons why I actually chose to do the degree is I want to have a lot of children. So with this degree, some of the perks are you get the same school holidays as your children. You get it in school early, so you can still be a hands-on mother. You can, if you're having pregnancy leave, you can also substitute, or you don't have to teach all the time. You can do extra lessons. If you teach at a Jewish day school, you actually get like a kosher world card, and you get like 10% of a kosher world. You get obviously the school holidays, you get a discount per child that you have at the school. If you love stationery and stickers, go into the degree, because I mean, I don't know, it's just very, like there's stickers everywhere in the degree, it's the best. And yeah, I think that's really much it on the degree. Some ways to get in, which is also really cool, is the Jewish Board of Education actually sponsors some students to go into the degree because there's not enough Jewish teachers. So they will pay for your full education. You do have to give back a little bit, as in you have to go into those schools to like do your supervision, and you have to like go to some of their courses, but they do pay for your education. So that's a bonus. And yeah, I think that's really it on my degree. Very simple. If anyone has any questions or wants to message me, I'll put my number in the chat. You guys are more than welcome to message me anytime. I'm very passionate. I'm so happy to help you out, take you on a tour. And yeah, that's it.
Tal, do you just want to quickly explain how it works when you do like your vocation work at the schools?
Okay, sure. So with prac is you have to apply via your area. So you give 3 areas that are closest to you. The school gives it to you, and you just like tick off the areas that you are close to. Then they put you at the school. Then when you are at the school, you have to teach a certain amount of classes. First year, you have to teach 2, but you don't get critted, which means that your lecturer from university comes in to watch you teach. So first year, you actually don't get critted, only your teachers crit you. Second year, you have to get critted once. So your lecturer only comes in once to see how you teach, but you have to teach every day. You have to write an observation journal from every day, and you have to do lesson plans. Third year, which one I'm in, my teacher came once as well because of COVID. I think before COVID it was twice. I'm not too sure. And then you get marked on teaching your children. I'm at Linksfield Primary at the moment, which is a great school if anyone ever wants to go there. And then 4th year, you get critted twice. So your lecturers comes to watch you do your prac twice. They give you your file, they give you your book and your journal. All you have to do is fill it out, so which is also really nice. And you use the money that they give you to pay for printing. So it's very like accessible. Also, if you don't have a computer, they'll give you a computer to use. I mean, I think they did that before COVID, but they definitely do it now because of COVID. They've got a printing facility at the school. Also, we always joke that it's the private school of Wits, because it's a tiny campus. Everyone knows everyone. I know the lecturers by name. They know me by name. It's such a small, intimate campus. I know all the like canteen ladies, they know my name. There's a little coffee shop, there's couches, and you spend a lot of time there. So you get to know everyone. And you just get to work, and you can rent out a laptop there, and you can just get your work done at school. So you don't actually have to get anything done at home. And yeah, do you have any other questions?
Well, I think that's it. But if kids want to ask you questions, they obviously can. But I just want to say on behalf of Sorges, thank you so much for giving us some of your time and insights. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Have a good day, guys.
You too, thank you.
Bye.
Jade, we'll start in like a minute.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool, Jade. You want to get us started on your degree?
Okay, hello all 5 of you. I've just written something down just so I make sure that I cover everything. But my name is Jade Spiro. I'm from Cape Town, and I go to FDISA Cape Town campus. There is a new campus in Joburg in Sandton, and it looks insane. So it's relatively new. I think it's opened last year. So yeah. So to go to the very beginning, fashion's always been my passion for the longest time. Honestly, it's only been fashion for me, and I've always known I was that person that just knew, and I completely get it if you don't. It's very normal. So I first found out about FDISA through a family friend. As she was there, I watched her journey. I watched her go through it. I attended all the fashion shows, the graduate collection fashion shows, the fashion flashes. I went to open day in grade 9. So I was very keen, and cemented, seeing what she did cemented my decision. So, right, let's go into, so FDISA offers 2 different degrees, or, well, there's 1 degree, 1 diploma. I'm doing a 3-year degree. I can briefly tell you what the 3-year diploma is about. I don't know exactly the full depth of it, but from what I know, that is more, it focuses on the retail, the merchandising, marketing, buying. It's more like that side of fashion, the more theory side behind the scenes, something a bit less practical. So if you are interested in the diploma, I can definitely give you someone's number and pass on some information to you. So just let me know. But let's talk about the 3-year degree that I am doing. So the 3-year degree in fashion, you come out as a fashion designer, basically. It is internationally recognized. So there are many students who take this degree, and after they've graduated, they are all in Italy, Amsterdam, they're all over the world. And let's go into the subjects that I do. So there's 3 practical subjects and 4 theoretical subjects. The 3 practical subjects all go hand in hand and complete the design making process. So the first, it's visuals, and that's visual design. And this is where you design your garment. So you've gotten your brief, and now you're brainstorming what your garment or your look is going to look like. In first year, this is drawn by hand using markers, pencils, and all other mediums that you're taught the drawing skills of how to do that. From second year and third year, it's moved over to Photoshop and Illustrator, where everything is digitally rendered now. And then you also dive into the process of making mood boards, trend boards, and you learn a lot about the whole visual aspect of it and how you are able to develop something from the bottom up that's coming from your head onto a visual screen. So I really love the subject. It's really cool. And I love working on Photoshop and Illustrator. Then the next step after designing your look is now going into pattern making. A lot of people don't know what pattern making is. It's basically like the fundamentals of sewing. So in order to sew, you need to have patterns, and then you need to cut out your fabric from having those patterns. They're like blocks. It's like a sleeve, a front. So that's pattern technology, and this is where you draft your patterns for your garments. That, as I just said, it takes you to the cutting process of your fabric. Then your final stage of the practical element is sewing, and this is where the final and the fun, challenging phase comes in. This is, you learn a lot about different techniques, how to sew things, methods, and this is where your full idea has now come to life, from the design making stage to the final sewing stage, and this is where your garment is complete. So that's the three practical components. They're quite heavily weighted, but so are the theory. So let me go to the theory. And this is, well, before I go to the theory, actually, this, let me say, it does sound daunting, and I understand you can be thinking, I have no idea how to sew, I don't know how to use Photoshop, but please don't worry and please don't stress. You go in knowing nothing. I went in knowing nothing, learn everything from the bottom up, and it's crazy how much you can learn in the space of 3 years. It's really, really incredible how much you take in and how well you're taught it. Yeah, so as I said, those are the practical components, and let's go into the theory. So I love these theory subjects. I find them very, very interesting. I find these subjects, they broaden your knowledge and your thinking process about the fashion industry. So it kind of gives you a break from being all practical and sewing and designing, and this allows you to think quite critically. So the subjects are business studies, design history, communications, and trend forecasting. So obviously they speak for themselves. Business is business, and you learn about, you cover all components. I've just written a business test on financial, doing financial statements, so you cover that side. Then you cover all the, I've gone blank, all the other components. And I'd say it's quite, it's not too challenging, as obviously you're not doing a business degree. So I'd say if you do business at school, it would just give you that extra support and that extra understanding. I didn't take business at high school, and I'm not so strong with business, and I felt like maybe it would have helped me. But that's just my opinion and my advice. Design history, I absolutely love the subject. You're going through all the eras, the genres of fashion, from the 1800s to the 80s, the 70s to the 60s. You learn why things have evolved. Why am I wearing my puff sleeve that was in the 80s now? So you just learn all about that. I meant my puff collar. I mean collar, shoulder. Then you have communications. This is more about the psychology of fashion. Why do people buy this? Why do people make these decisions? And sometimes you're moving away from the fashion industry in this subject, and you do think of more of a mental side, more of a psychological aspect. And I find this one really interesting. You're learning about, as I just said, why people are making the decisions they make. And then we have trend forecasting, which is very cool, very, very cool. I love it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You figuring out why these trends are coming back, how to come up with new trends, learning about different trend setters and all of that stuff. So I've covered all those subjects and I've covered the practical. Now I can talk about my experience. So I have loved it. I've found it really, really rewarding. It's probably the most rewarding thing. I mean, seeing all your hard work come to life and you see it, someone modeling it and walking down the runway. It's really an amazing feeling. It's not an easy degree. Just because it has the cliche, stereotypical BA in front of it does not mean it's easy. I work really, really hard. It's not like you've written an essay and you're like, oh, it's an essay, I'm handing it in. It's like a practical work that your heart and soul goes into it. You don't want to just hand in an ugly top. You want to make it the best top it can be. So you really put your all into this work. And I've met the most incredible people. I went in not with any other friend. I was the only person from Herzliya. There's one other Jewish girl, but not any other Jews. And I found it really an amazing, eye-opening experience. My love for fashion has grown so much from being in a creative environment. I dress up every day. You don't have to. Some people come in their tracksuit pants and their slippers, but some do dress up to the nines and no one judges, and it's just a really, really amazing environment to be in. And FDISA as a whole, they really, really push you. They really strive to get the best out of you. And it's hard, it's tough work, but as I said, it's the most rewarding thing. If it's your passion, go after it. And as I said, it's internationally recognized, so who knows what I'll be doing in the future and where I'll be. Just to add on, they do offer an honors program after your degree, which I think I'll be doing next year. And that is obviously all theory, which I'm very excited about. And that's basically it.
Don't mean to interrupt, but thank you so much.
Hope I covered everything. I feel like I kind of did. I went into lots of detail, so yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Galya, you're up next, bro. Galya, unmute yourself, please.
Sorry, hello. Okay, cool. So I'm speaking about graphic design at UJ. So basically at UJ for graphic design, they also called communication design, because the whole idea is being able to communicate an idea through a visual design. So that falls in marketing, advertising, illustrating. So things you can do with graphic design is, branding. So that's designing business cards and letterheads and logos for businesses, and also advertising. So that could be newspaper or magazine, billboard advertising. It could be marketing, which is making your brand a bit more known to the public. Illustrating, which is like children's books, or like illustrating that you like, that's the digital side, and that can be really used for anything. We use a software called Adobe, and there's a lot of ways to get the software for free. And the university is very understanding with students, and some not having Wi-Fi or computers or Adobe, so they really try to give their students whatever they need. And there is a lab of computers with Wi-Fi and Adobe, so it's easy to use. First year we learn all the basics about Adobe, like how it works, what are the different tools. Second year it's a bit more practical, where we get projects, but like very specific projects. So it's design like a book cover, design an advert, design this. In third year it's a lot more broad, so it like prepares you a lot more for the working world. They also do try to prepare you a lot for the working world at UJ, where We have like mock interviews, you know, to prepare how to deal with interviews. We have a compulsory internship. We also, they teach you how to write a CV and how to write professional emails. We also have, the degrees also split up into theory and practical. So the practical is the actual design work, and the theory is a lot more essay based, but the idea of the theory is to understand how your design can change social norm, like negative social norms that are current. So an example would be how most cars or like men's cologne are advertised, you know, with like a woman. So the idea is like, if, you know, a man wants to buy cologne, buy this cologne and you'll have a beautiful woman kind of idea. So the whole idea of, the subject's called design studies. So the whole idea is to think of possible solutions to those problems. Another idea could be how in our children's books, the females always illustrated as like damsel in distress, or like this unrealistic body shape. So the idea is how to break that idea. And yeah, in first year, you start off with 4 subjects, and then in second year, it moves down to 3 subjects, and then in third year, which I'm in currently now, is 2 subjects, which is the communication design subject, which is the practical, and then the design studies, which is the theory. To get into the degree from school, it's not that they don't necessarily look at marks. That's not how they judge if you will make it in the, like if you can get into the degree or not. They actually give you a practical assignment. And what they do is like when you apply, you do still apply with marks. So you need like a basic, like, you know, over 50% for English, or I think it's over like 60% for English and over 50% in maths, or 65% for maths lit. Yeah, and then you obviously just need to have passed matric, but they really more focus on your this project that they give you. So when I applied, the idea was that they gave you the idea of a chair. So you had to like design a chair in a different way and explain how other, like people, it was a very strange project, but they explained how people see a chair in different things. Some people see, oh, it's a chair, you know, it's at a table. Some people see, oh, it's a chair, you know, you sit on it. It like very, it's the idea of like trying to get, you know, break your idea out of like try to think outside of the box. And then they kind of explain that even when you're in your degree, when you want to get a job, they don't also always look at marks. It's very much on your skills in design. So it's important that you have a design, that you have a portfolio, and you have a portfolio can be like a PDF that you flip through. It could even just be a like an Instagram page where you post all your work, or a website. And yeah, they just, when you look for a job, they look at your skill, and they also look at your experience. It's really important to like gain experience while you're a student. And that can be small things like just designing a logo for your dad's friend, or, you know, whatever the case is. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else. The lecturers also really like very understanding, especially with COVID. I haven't been into campus since last year, March. So they're very understanding with like timelines and deadlines and, you know, working online. I prefer working online as well, because I think, I mean, everything's online anyways. We don't really write exams, which is also a huge pro of my degree. It's not like sitting in a big hall where you have to write an exam. They do have at the end of every block, it's called an independent project. So the idea behind it is that throughout university, when you have a project, you can consult with your lecturer, like make sure you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. They can tell you, you know, change this, change that. So the idea with an independent project is that you don't get your lecturer's feedback. It's purely only yourself, and you have to work by yourself. So that's what they consider as an exam. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think what else I could share. It's, yeah. But otherwise we can wait, I guess, for the next person.
Lee, we'll just wait until 11. I mean, until 10 to 11, and then you can start. Cool.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Lee, you want to get us going?
Okay, so this is awkward. I'm Lee, and my degree is actually a BA General, but the way that my 3 years have kind of worked out is that I've taken a language route. So when I was in matric and like applying for universities, and even in my first year of university, I didn't particularly know what I wanted to do. So, I just knew that I wanted to work in English in some sort of capacity. So so that's why I applied for a BA, and I would just do English and a couple other subjects that I knew that I would enjoy. A part of the BA degree at Tux is that you would have to take it's this module called academic language, but if you got over, I think, 60% for English in matric, you were exempt from it, but your exception was that you had to take a language. So I knew before even that, I knew that I would take French because it would put me a bit in good stead. So my subjects in first year were English, French for beginners. So I started right at the beginning. Criminology and anthropology. And so as the years went on, I was like, okay, at the end of first year, I was like, criminology is not for me. Lost that. And so second year it was French, anthropology, and English. And at the end of second year, I was a bit conflicted as to what subject I should take forward, either anthropology or French. And I decided that considering my wishes for a further career path in publishing and editing and copywriting, I figured French would put me in greater stead than anthropology would, because it can broaden your horizons of what you can do. So yeah, so English is mainly it's literature and poetry, which is not my absolute favorite, but I do what I gotta do. And then French, up until this year, basically was grammar and vocabulary and a little bit of literature. Like last year, second year, we did some literature, which is quite tough, but you know, and then this year they separated French modules into your grammar and vocabulary, and then into your literature. There are some people who only take there is a choice if you want to take your like grammar further or your literature further. I have chosen to take both, mainly because I need the credits, and if I didn't take both, I would have needed to take another subject, which is a bit confusing and fun. But yeah, like it wasn't that tough to get into it. I only needed a 60-ish% for English. I've made loads of friends through my degree. None of them really do the same subjects as me now. It is an adjustment being online. I've like adapted to it. So all of like my English lectures are recorded. So if there's like something really important, I can pause it. French, and I know a lot of other languages that people take, all of their classes are like live Zoom, Blackboard, Collaborate classes, so that your lecturers can know where you are in terms of speaking and writing and all of that kind of stuff. What else? So yeah, there's a lot of like routes that people can take with a language degree. I know there are some people who do French with me are interested in becoming translators, and they take other languages as well. Yeah, so it's, yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of fun learning things, and because I did Hebrew in school, so I had the opportunity to do Hebrew in my university career, but that would be starting off at the beginning. And even though I probably would have done really well, I thought French and English in the end, at the beginning of this year, would be my best route to take. And I think if that's a route that people want to take, I highly recommend it. The workload, I mean, it can get a bit hectic, but for French in particular, they don't want us to have, since we've been online, we haven't had any written exams at the end of the semester, which is really nice. We just have a lot of tests throughout the semester, and it kind of eases the workload when it comes to the end. Yeah, Google Translate is my best friend at the moment. And yeah, maybe that's kind of all I have. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Am I up, guys? I think it's now my...
No, I still got to speak at 11. Oh, yeah. I'll speak at 11 and then I'll make you host.
Okay, thanks.
So I can speak to my fellow colleagues.
Guys, this is so bad. We need to get more people.
Okay, what's up everyone? I'm currently in my 3rd year, technically 4th year, but technically 4th year at Wits. I'm currently completing my undergraduate degree in law and philosophy. So basically how the degree works at Wits is that in your 1st year, you will do intro to law, law of persons, and then you'll do 2 other majors. So the other majors that I did, because what you need is to get into a BA law or BCom law at Wits straight out of school. You need, I think, 43 APS points. So it's quite heavy. Yet when I matriculated, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I took a general BA in my 1st year. But you can apply to take law from 2nd year forward if you have a 65% average or above for your 1st year of the general BA. And you need to write a motivation letter which you send into the law school. But nonetheless, this is how the course goes. So in your 1st year, you will be doing intro to law, law of persons, then 2 other majors. My other majors were international relations and philosophy. Then in your 2nd year, you will take constitutional law, Bill of Rights, family law, and then one of your other 2 majors again. So I brought philosophy forward and international relations forward as well. Then in your 3rd year of law, what you will do is, what I'm currently doing now is criminal law, delict. So delict is the law of reparations, i.e., for example, if you crash into someone's house, for example, and that person wants to claim damages from you, that's basically what the law of delict is. And then you do jurisprudence, and jurisprudence is pretty much the philosophy of law. So the fact that I did philosophy as my other major kind of helped me in my law studies now. Then what happens is you need to apply to the 2-year LLB once you have completed your undergrad. So to get into the 2-year LLB, you need at least a 65% average. And then in the 2-year LLB, if I'm not mistaken, you do, I think, 7 subjects a year. So currently, what I would say is if you're doing a law degree or you're going to go in to apply to a law degree, even though it has the title BA before it or BCom before it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's any less than a BCom law degree or any less than a straight LLB degree, because what you guys need to do as a law student is you're going to be doing articles and you're going to be doing back work, which means that you're going to be needing to look into various law firms, look into what their partners have studied, look into what their requirements are. And what you'll find is that at a lot of these major law firms, a lot of their partners actually did a BA law degree or a straight LLB, and not many of them have BCom law, even though a lot of them will be, and a lot of the corporate law firms in their corporate departments will have BCom law degree, because it obviously gives you that business leap ahead. But what I would say is if you're doing a law degree and you're doing, let's say, a BA law degree, what you want is when you're applying, you obviously need really top marks. So if you want to get into one of the top 5 firms, or you want to get into a good firm for VAC work, you would need an average of at least 65 to 70% and above. Then what you would also need to do is you're competing with a lot of law students. In some of my classes, there's 600 plus of us. So it's very competitive and there's a lot. So what you need to do is if you're doing a BA degree, and I heard this from someone when I was doing VAC work, is you need to choose another major that's going to separate you from your compatriots. So you need another major that is seen as, i.e. being difficult, or seen as something that will complement your law degree. So for me personally, I found philosophy to be a course that really did complement my law degree, because in philosophy, you're dealing with very complicated topics, very abstract thinking, you're dealing with deductive reasoning, with logic, and you're dealing with a subject that kind of exposes you to how the world works. Other subjects in the humanities faculty that will probably do the same or similar would be international relations, would probably be media studies, considering we live in a world full of media, and would probably be psychology as well. Then when you're actually going about your law degree, as with any other degree, and I'm sure everyone's heard this before, is that you need to stay up to date with your work. You need to ensure that you're not falling behind, and you need to ask questions in the lectures. So for example, now, if you're going to be a first year next year, there's still the unknown of whether things will be on campus or online. When they're online, what it requires is you need to really make the step up, and you need to step up quickly. You need to realize that you're not going to be interacting with your lecturers face-to-face or physically, and you need to be able to get a good repertoire going with them, either through email or through your Zoom lectures. And I would suggest that the best thing to do is that law is a content-heavy course. For some of your courses, you're learning over 50 to 100 cases a year. You're learning a lot of in-depth theory, and you're doing a lot of courses that kind of test your ability to really think critically about the world that you're in and about the course that you're doing. So you would need to develop all those skills. Then I would say that the most important thing with law is to understand that you live in a society that is governed by the law. Everything you do is law, from when you buy in something at the store, to when you're interacting with your parents, to when you drive in your car, to when you go into the movies or anything. You live in a society governed by the law and function by the law. And it is a topic that really, really exposes you to how great the law can be, but it also shows you how much it can fail at the same time. And you'll get exposed to cases, and you'll get exposed to thoughts that really show you just how scary the world is that we live in, but also it shows you just how wonderful the legal fraternity can be. When you read how the law protects people, for example, when they had the case that legalized gay marriage in South Africa, that case was a breakthrough case in South African law and gave people, especially gay people, it gave them the right to equality, it vindicated their right to equality. There's been other various breakthrough cases. For example, even the fact that we have a constitution. The constitution is something we did not have during apartheid, and we now have it, which when you're doing constitutional law and Bill of Rights, you will learn how the rights that you have, from the right to dignity, to property, to everything, along with the constitution, are key things of the democracy that we live in, and allow us as people to do the very things that we do. It allows us to attend a university with a multitude of ethnicities, backgrounds, etc. It allows us to live in a world or in a country where we all essentially placed on the same pedestal and have to start from the beginning. So I would say, and also a lot of people ask me, and will probably ask you when you do your law degree, oh, but law is not something you can take overseas, or law is something that keeps you to South Africa, which is not necessarily the case. You can go overseas, you can do your master's degrees, you can redo LLB degrees overseas, and in some countries, you just need to redo the board exams and you can practice there. But at the same time, what law does is that law allows you or exposes you to such an environment whereby you can interact or you can join other environments. You can become a legal aid for various big companies, or what you can do is you can just branch into any field. The only limitations you have are really on yourself, And law, if you want it to be, can just be a degree that really sets you up for the future and places you in a position where you'll get exposed to various things that you would never think of before. And I would say as well, a key thing to do when you're studying your law degree is to make friends, to make study groups, to make acquaintances with people so that you can share your thoughts with others, you can study with others, you can interact with the coursework on a level that's different to how you would independently. And I would say be prepared for early mornings, be prepared for late nights, be prepared for a lot of stress, but at the same time, be prepared for that time when you walk out of lecture and you just go, that was amazing, like where you really feel good. It's really an enlightening degree. It's a great thing to have. And personally, I have no bad things to say about it. I would just say, get a routine going, get a structure going, make sure your matric results are really up to scratch. And if you have any more questions or whatever, just find a way to contact me and I'll answer them as best as I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin, for sharing that very insightful information on doing law at university. So thank you for that. Next up, we're going to hear from Josh Norman. He is in first year and he is studying a BA Law and International Relations.
Hi guys, so thanks Kayla. So as you heard, I'm doing BA Law and International Relations. I'm in my first year at Wits. Matriculated from King David last year and went straight into it. So I think Erin's told you a lot about like what the course consists of. So my subjects this year were, for my first semester I did Zulu because you're required to do an African language, and then I did Zulu, International Relations, Psychology, and Intro to Law. So that was in my first semester. So Intro to Law you carry with you throughout the whole year, and then Psychology I also carry through the whole year. But you also need to carry through your half modules. So like my half modules, International Relations, so that goes through the whole year, but it's split up into Intro to International Relations and International Relations of South Africa, which is now in the second semester what I'm doing. So, and now in the second semester I've dropped Zulu and now I'm doing Law of Persons. So with law, you're obviously picking up a whole bunch of different modules each time, and as you go through your degree, your law module and your whatever your second major is, so mine is going to be International Relations, you pick up more of those and you take less of like the Psychology and the Zulu and whatever other subjects you choose. So yeah, so law, as Erin said, is very content heavy. You're learning tons of cases. It's not something that you can sort of like not do or just like slack on, because then you genuinely just won't be able to answer what they're asking you or to do assignments. So you really do have to be consistent with it. The other thing is International Relations, which is I obviously haven't done it for as long as Erin, but I've come to realize it's about politics, it's about economics, it's about global government and how each state works with each other. And so that's my complementary subject to law, because I found that when we're discussing things like international law, it really helps you understand like how states and governments are able to actually legally do things like I can't think of anything, but it enables you to sort of like, the work supports each other. So what you learn in one subject is like works in the other. So let's say you're reading a case and they mention some treaty that was signed. You know about that treaty, and you don't have to, and so you don't have to set it, because you did international relations, so you don't have to go and research the treaty and find out the whole spiel about it. I don't want to cover, unless you guys have any questions, but I don't want to cover the content as much as my experience as a first year. I went obviously from online school straight into online school, whereas like the second years and third years, well, the second years had a bit of like in-person at varsity and I didn't. So it's really important. So when I started my degree, I said to myself, like, it's really important to like try and make some friends and try and like branch out a bit from our bubble, and meet some people in my course, because now it would be way harder to do that being online. So you do have WhatsApp groups that get set up. They can get a bit annoying, and you will get like 100 messages in like 10 minutes. But they are really useful in like just becoming acquainted with people and learning a bit more than what you know in terms of like friend wise, in terms of like how we live. Like we live a very different lifestyle. Like we've never really, like, I mean, I can't say I've never really interacted much outside of my little Jewish bubble, and so it was really nice to, I was very grateful for the tool to be able to like meet people over WhatsApp. That's helped in my actual degree, because when you do have a question, it takes a lot of effort to like contact a lecturer, because you have to email them and you're not sure, like, I don't know, I get the anxiety, is it worth emailing them? And so when you have like people that you know that you can like message and be like, hey, like, what's due today? Or did you understand this concept or that concept? That's something that really helps you with getting through varsity, because it can obviously be hard, like being alone in your room studying something you've never learned before. But in saying that, I have loved every bit of varsity so far. I've enjoyed the content. So it's, if you enjoy sitting and like reading, as weird as it sounds, if you enjoy like sitting and reading and like trying to like figure things out, and like if you really do enjoy independent working, I think law is a great subject for you, because you can really because it just really like that's what it requires. You just got to sit down and like get through it all. Yeah, any questions? So what subjects do I do? So I'm doing a BA law, so there was no math requirement. So I did drop to math lit because I didn't like really need math, and I wasn't enjoying it so much, which I know is a stress for a lot of people. So firstly, don't look at that as like a deterrent, because at the end of the day, whether you do a BA law or BCom law, you're doing the law subjects and you're eventually moving on to do an LLB, which is filled with BA law and BCom students. I also did history and art and consumers. So there aren't any subject requirements for law. It's just the point requirements of 43 points. So in that regard, take subjects that you enjoy doing, because I mean, I view it as the subjects you enjoy doing will almost lead to the degree you enjoy doing. So like history helped a lot in the sense that it was sort of content heavy, and there was a lot to like learn off by heart, and a lot to like there's a lot content wise to like get through, and also the writing aspect of history, the writing essays and the extended writings and those types of and the source-based questions even work so well with law, because like they've just really helped me adapt to answering questions in varsity, because it's a bit of a different, like there's a bit of a different expectation. They expect you to reference cases in each question. So that's an example of where you need to know where you actually have to cover the content, and you also need to have that like writing skill, which you will develop. But like you'll need to be able to work, they'll give you like a little extract of like some law or even an article or something, and you have to take what you know, like the concepts, and you have to take the stuff you've learned from the case that was prescribed, and sort of work it into an answer and formulate an argument. So in that sense, history was really helpful. Arts and consumers, not so much, but I mean, it didn't hurt because you are still learning content and applying it in questions. So it's pretty transferable, but yeah, that's subject-wise, that's what I did. And then if you're not, like, on the other hand, so the way the BA students and BCom students do law together, so their law subjects are combined, and then it's their other subjects. So like, I have a friend doing BCom law instead of international relations, he does economics. So we study law together, and we help each other out and like summarize cases together to like get the workload done. So if you do enjoy like the mathematic type stuff, then just, you know, go for a BCom and do like stats, economics. There's a whole bunch of subjects to do that can also complement your degree. Yeah, that's it. We still have quite a bit of time. Oh no, a minute. So any more?
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that, Josh. Very insightful. Next up, we have Jessica Katz. Jessica's in 3rd year at AFDA, and she is currently studying a Bachelor of Arts in Motion Picture Medium. So Jessica, could you please share with us your university experience?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I went to AFDA. It doesn't really stand for anything. It's just called AFDA, and Arts Motion Picture Medium. Just to clarify, I finished studying now. I graduated last year, but this is really a unique course and something that not a lot of people know about if you're not in this industry. So I'm very happy to be sharing my course, my experience with all of you. So I did a BA in motion. So, okay. AFDA is a university specific to the film and television industry. My course, the BA in Motion Picture Medium, it's about the behind the scenes world of the industry. So you can study anything from directing and writing, producing, animation, visual effects, editing, costume and makeup. There are so many different things that you can study. The other courses that you can study at AFDA is a BA in live performance. That's the acting side of it. So you'll learn screen and stage acting and music performance, which is singing. There are also some BCom degrees, but I'll be honest, I don't know much about those. And then you can also do higher certificate courses. I know there's one in radio broadcasting. And for postgraduates, you can also do your honors and your masters. So it's quite a practical university. You start making short films from your first term of first year, which is like really exciting. And I know compared to WITS, which if you study film and TV at WITS, it's a lot more theoretical. And you only make your first film in your final year. Whereas at AFDA, you make multiple films every term of every year. And they set it up kind of like how it is in the industry, which gives you like really great experience. So in your first year, you do a range of different subjects just to get you exposed to as much as possible and hope you'll find your niche. And then whatever subject you do, that is what your role will be in the film that you create. So they will split everyone up into groups, and that will be your film crews. And then if you as if a subject you're studying is editing, you will be the editor for that film. If you are studying directing and writing as a subject, then it will be your story that you will write and direct that everyone will make the film about, which is like really awesome. And another thing is that you don't write any exams, which is like a breath of fresh air, a huge stress relief. I mean, don't get me wrong, making films is like another level of stress. But instead of writing exams, what happens is that the theory side of it, you have these lectures that touch on all different subjects like psychology and marketing and economics, a whole range of different things. And then every term you have to write this really big essay about what you learned in these lectures, and it also ties in with the films that you create and the practical subjects that you do. So it all kind of comes together. Another really great thing is that when you're in third year, which is your final year, your graduation, sorry, there's a dog barking, I hope you can hear me well. Your graduation films get screened at a Ster-Kindercore cinema, which is like an unbelievable experience. I mean, like seeing your work on the big screen and then your name afterwards, like as the credits roll, it's like amazing. I'll also speak a bit about the schedule. So it's also quite different to other universities. You don't get a weekly timetable where like every Monday is the same, every Tuesday is the same, and so on. Instead, you get a timetable for the whole term. And every week is different. So like you won't be doing the same thing every Monday, every Tuesday, and so on. But you will like still be able to plan your life because you've got the timetable for the whole term. And then especially in first year, you'll have more free time than in second and third year, obviously. You'll see that sometimes you'll have a full day of lectures, some days you'll just have class in the morning or class in the afternoon. And generally speaking, I think terms are 8 weeks long. And then in the first 5 weeks is when you have your lectures, and then the last 3 weeks is the filmmaking process. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions to ask me. You're also very welcome to find me on Instagram or Facebook, or to get my number from one of the soldiers people and contact me if you have any other questions. I remember last year when I gave this talk, I was asked if there were any famous people that studied at ACT. I do have a quiz. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Am I still good?
You're good now. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I was just speaking about other like famous or successful people that I've studied at AFDA. There's also Nosipho Dumisa. She directed Blood and Water, which is a South African series on Netflix. And then I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce her name. It's Shekinah or Shekina. I'm not exactly sure. She's a singer. She studied singing at AFDA. So yeah, are there any other questions that I should answer? Things I missed?
I'll ask a question. Did you have to take any subjects at school in order to get into your degree?
No. So it's actually quite an easy degree to get into. There are no prerequisites. You can even fail matric and you write an entrance exam, and then that's how you could possibly get into after. The subjects that I studied in matric were arts, drama, and Hebrew, which was honestly a shock to me because I always thought I was more of an academic person, and here I am doing like very cultural subjects. They did help, but there's no prerequisite subjects, nothing you have to do before. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. We will. All right, let's speak to Maddie now. So everyone, next speaking is Maddie. She is currently in her second year of speech and language pathology at BITS. So Maddie, do you want to tell us a bit about your experience?
So, hello everyone, thanks for having me. I don't really enjoy doing such things, so please bear with me. I'm a very nervous person when it comes to public speaking. So basically, I didn't know what to study. I was like, I love people, I love helping people, I love kids, and that was kind of where it was. I went on my gap year thinking I was going to stay in Israel forever, came back, and then I was like, okay, like I got accepted, let me just do it. So to be quite honest, I didn't know what speech language pathology was. I thought it was just helping people who had lisps. That's literally all I thought it was. But it actually entails so much. So yeah, basically speech language pathologists deal with people literally from birth until their last days with speech, with language, with communicating, with understanding, with swallowing difficulties, and like communication in general. So it's basically like all ages. My supervisor said she works with people literally from birth till death, which is a little bit weird to say, but that's what we do. So yeah, so let me just speak about my experience, and then I'll just give you a little bit more information. So the subjects are actually really cool and really interesting. They seem a bit arbitrary, but it's all starting to come together. So in first year, you do linguistics, which is dealing with language, everything about language, like how words are formed, what words are made up of, like social communication, the brain and the different areas of the brain that deal with language. You do psychology, and a huge focus in something that's really important is like childhood development, because that then relates very much to speech. Anatomy of the head and the neck. Anatomy is quite difficult, but it's quite cool. And then you do speech and audiology. When you get to second year, you then either go into speech or audio, but you have to be accepted beforehand into one. If you want to change, you can, but I think it's a little bit difficult. And then you have to do a South African language. So I did isiZulu, which was really so fun. I don't really remember much, but it was really cool. And then you get a PADI client, which is a client who has some sort of, I don't like using the word disability, but some sort of impairment. And you get to know them and you do activities with them and you work with them, and you get observation hours, because by the end of your 4 years of studying, before you do ComServe, you have to have 400 hours, which sounds like a lot. But I'll get on to now in second year that you start to see patients, which is truly, and it's just unbelievable. So we see school age kids, and I love them. They're just so cute. So you go into schools and you work with them, and you assess them, you diagnose them, you treat them, you give homework, you write reports, and you communicate with parents if need be. You chat to their teachers, you observe them like when they're playing and when they're in school, like in class. You do neuroanatomy, which is looking like dealing only with the brain and like the spinal cord, and speech. And speech, because we're majoring in it, for me, that's where I put most of my effort and tears into. I mean, one of the questions was like, what do you prioritize? And I think when it comes to a degree, you can't really only prioritize one thing. I think you have to do your best in all of it, but obviously not like overdo it. Like you have to, like life isn't about a sprint, it's about a marathon, and you have to allocate time to everything so that in the long run you're able to complete this much bigger picture. It's not like just getting through a week, it's a 4-year degree. So in second year you start to see clients, which is really, really cool. You have a supervisor, you're in a small group of like 5 to 6 people, you get hours, you chat, you discuss, you make activities. Pinterest is like the best, and Westpac has the best toys. And yeah, so you help the child depending on their needs. Okay, so it is a lot of work. It is I didn't know, but it's a very, very heavy degree, but it's really unbelievable. You are literally changing people's lives, and you're enabling people to communicate, which for me, I think is like the biggest gift that we as humans have. It's really nice because it's a small course. There are like 35 of us, so it's very intimate. You get to know everyone. You like the lecturers know us by name, although it's been on Zoom, but yeah, you become really close, you help each other, you care about each other. I've formed the most unbelievable relationships with people who are so different to me, but like we are all interested in helping people with their impairments and bettering their lives. Scrubs are really cool as well. You get to wear scrubs, which I think everyone is most excited about. So that's quite cool. And yeah, it's a really, really fun degree, and there's so much to go into. Like if you prefer adults, if you prefer children, if you prefer like differently abled people, there's really something for everyone, and you get a taste of everything, which I think is really, really lucky. So you don't have to decide like in second year, like I'm going to go into peds, but you can decide, you know, afterwards you've got enough exposure and practice and information on every age group, which I think is like really, really amazing. Yeah, so just kind of how, like what leads you to like the steps that you have to cover before like treating someone is like you assess them. So we have formal assessments where they like, you know, say exactly what you need to do, like they've been like normed on like overseas people. There's informal assessments. You then diagnose them and you say, okay, you have a lisp, or okay, you have an articulation error, which is something you'll learn about if you do the degree, or you've got an auditory processing disorder. You treat them, then you provide carryover, which is really important. So it's quite fun. You like make homework packs and you send it home, and it gets everyone involved, because with such difficulties, you can't just come for therapy once a week and then expect it to get better. You have to send the child home, or I mean, I haven't worked with adults yet, but you want to get their family involved. You want to basically help them like just beyond school, because I mean, it's really important to have all the skills you need at school and out of school. We also counsel, which we had a lecture on last week, and I had no idea that we did it, but basically it's based on like you counsel with like educational counseling, which is like educating the person on what's wrong, and then their feelings. How does it make you feel that you have a lisp? And you know, they say, a lot of kids say like, people make fun of me, and then you deal with that as well. So you really are connecting to people. You really build such rapport and a trusting relationship with your client. It takes time, and there's a language difference quite often. My one client is his first language is French, and my other client's first language is isiZulu, and actually they're all isiZulu except the one boy who speaks French. So you have to really put in effort. Like I had to translate everything, but once you kind of understand them, they understand you, you make it fun, you give them prizes, you really create such a special bond, which I think is amazing. And yeah, that's basically what speech is about. If anyone has any questions, or I don't know, maybe I gave too much information, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now, or you can send me a message, or yeah, really reach out to people. I think before doing a degree, like just find out more. People are so happy to help you. You don't have to feel shy. Like, I didn't really ask enough people before, and I'm still, you know, finding out new things about speech, which is normal. But I think, like, reach out to people, ask people. There are so many people who want to help other people before going into university, because we all had to start. So if you've got a question, how much of your degree is in person, how much is online? Okay, so basically last year it was all online. We had some live lectures, a lot of them were recorded. And then this year we are Monday and Tuesday we see clients. So on a Monday it's 3 hours and Tuesday is 2 hours at different schools in different places. But everything else is on Microsoft Teams and on like just pre-recorded things. I think like towards the end of the year, we are going to start having some lectures in person, just because a lot of our stuff, you need to be in contact, you have to observe the supervisor and how you do certain like techniques, like how you know, like working with the techniques and yeah, how to carry out therapy and things like that. But because of COVID, a lot of it is online. Yeah, so I, at the beginning of the year, tried to go and observe as many therapists as I could. I then realized I didn't have time for it. But because you are, like, it's quite difficult in the degree that I'm in to not have the face-to-face. But our supervisors and lecturers are really, really open to helping. Our one supervisor said, like, she's available after 6 every night. If we want to have a tutorial with her, or if we have questions or whatever, she's more than happy to provide that for us. So it's unfortunate that we aren't in person, but I think Wits has really gotten has really worked their way around it and have made amazing like adaptations, so that online learning is still as like effective and fun. Yeah, if there are any other questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was amazing. Sounds like incredible work that you do. Next up, we have Talia Urdang speaking. Talia is in 4th year and Talia is studying audiology at Wits. So could you please enlighten us on your degree?
Thanks, Kayla. And firstly, just thank you to Sorges. Can you all hear me, by the way? Just let me know. But yeah, thank you so much to Sorges for organizing this. When I was in school and in matric, no one organized something like this for us, and I wish that they did. So yeah, so just want to thank them. So as Kayla said, I'm doing audiology. So Maddie, who spoke before, she's doing the speech side and I'm doing the audiology side. I'm not gonna, Maddie did cover quite a lot of it, but I'll try to give also a different approach. Firstly, just going into when you are choosing a degree, as Maddie said, ask people. It's the only way you're going to find out, because you've been in the school system for 12 years. You don't know like what's out there, and yeah, the way to get to know information is to ask. Also, I think what's important to realize is that like it's okay if you don't know what you want to do after school. I think we feel this pressure that like we have to know what we need to do, and often we don't. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm in my final year of studies and I'm still like, is this for me? But like, I'm enjoying it, you know? So I think you just need to have that open mindset. And if you're not enjoying something, you'll change over. Anyways, now actually going to the audiology side. So as Maddie said, it's a 4-year degree, and it used to be 1 degree, but now it's 2 separate degrees, either speech pathology or audiology. First year, you are all together, the speech therapist and the audiologist. But then from 2nd year, you split. You do similar subjects from 1st to 3rd year. I don't know if Maddie said, but you do psychology for 3 years. You do linguistics for 2 years, which is kind of about language. And so Maddie said that they did Zulu. So the audiology students, they do sign language in 1st year, which was really cool. It's a very small degree. There are only 21 people in my class, so it's really nice because the lecturers really get to know you and they can really help and support you. And as Maddie said, like at 6 o'clock, if you need help, like your lecturer is willing to help you there. In terms of audiology itself, so I feel like people often when they heard of speech and hearing, they thought of the speech side, but not the hearing side. And I know for myself, I personally was like that. But it's really cool. Hearing is more than just hearing aids. I think that's all anyone thinks hearing is. And hearing aids are actually awesome, just in general. Like, if you think about it, you are allowing someone to hear. It's all very well that, you know, someone can speak, but you can't speak if you can't hear. So the two really go with one another. So it's really awesome to give someone that gift of sound. So like the other day, I actually had a patient and I fitted them with hearing aids, and they turned around and they were like, "Thank you so much, I can hear." And we take that for granted. You know, we think about our eyes, we can see, but what about hearing? Anyway, so the different sides to audiology is that you can work with from newborn babies up to old people. You can literally we start testing babies as soon as they're born, because the earlier that we can help them, the better. So you do like hearing screenings on newborns that are like a day old. You work with children who between the ages of 0 to 6 and above. You can work with people in their 40s or something who maybe had a motor vehicle accident and now they can't hear, or there was a gunshot wound and now they're struggling to hear. And then you work with the elderly population who generally to old age you can't hear. So you really work with everyone. Another cool side to audiology is that you also work with the balance system, because that's connected to your hearing organs. So it's also cool because sometimes people are really struggling with their balance, and you can assist by giving them exercises to do. That's a cool side to it. You work within a school setting, so you can work at schools in that, looking at classroom and acoustics. Are children situated close enough to the teacher? You work with cochlear implants. You can work within an industrial side, often in like a noisy environment where there's lots of drilling and mining and all of that. People are exposed to high noise levels. You can help like give them advice and also just programs to prevent hearing loss. And then also what's quite cool is we do objective tests. So within audiology, you get subjective test, which is what I tell you. So it's like when you hear the beep, press the button. So it's, oh, I thought I heard that. And then an objective test is the machine actually tells us the results, not the person itself. So some cool tests that we do is that we look at from the auditory pathway all the way to the brain. So we study the brain waves of sound, which is really cool. So that's just the technical side, but the actual course itself, it's really great. You're working with people, you're helping people, you're actually making a difference to their lives. It is very time consuming, as Maddie said. Everyone always said to me, this degree is hard, and I was like, no, it's fine. It really is. It's been very, very tough 4 years, but I've loved it and I've really enjoyed what I've learned. You have to be willing to put in the work though, otherwise it is going to be miserable, and that means work before your sessions. That means work during your sessions and after. Let me tell you, there's a lot of admin which people don't realize, filling in forms. So you have to be prepared for that. But otherwise, like, it really is an awesome degree, which I think is not a lot of people know about it, especially the audiology side. In terms of, yeah, as I said, it's a small class, not a lot of people. The hours are tough, so I was in person, but like your days are really like 8 to 4 every day. That's when I was in person 5 times a week. And then you have your clinics. So as Maddie said, from second year, you go to schools and you do hearing tests on kids, just like a quick little test. And you learn to do an actual, just a basic hearing test on your classmates. Then in third year, okay, with COVID, it was a little messed up for us, but from third year, you're actually starting external patients in the VITS clinic. So, and it's like what's happening now. So we have a hearing aid clinic where one day I'm just working with hearing aids. We have another day where we're working with the balance system. You meant to go to schools to do the educational audiology side. You have a hospital rotation, so that you're literally in the hospital environment. You go to clinics. So it really is cool. And then from after fourth year, you do your community service. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. I hope I've covered everything, but really, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to message me. I'm really always happy to help. And yeah, just thank you to soldiers and everyone, and good luck into what you're going to study.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tali. I actually have a question for you. I wanted to know how COVID's affected your degree this year.
Okay, cool. In terms of the patients, in terms of like how we're practicing?
Yes, in terms of how you're practicing.
Okay, so last year was very tricky because obviously COVID was new and we didn't go to campus, but now the clinics are operating. We're still seeing patients. So I go 3 times a week. I'm going to bits, I'm seeing patients because I have to. Next year I'm doing my community service. I have to learn to work with people. So obviously we're just very careful. We wear masks the whole time. We sanitize. If you're not feeling well, you just don't come into the clinic. So yeah, we're still practicing. We're seeing people and we're carrying on. So also just to add, also with COVID, what's been interesting to see is that often people lip read. And now with wearing masks, people are really struggling. So more people are noticing that they're having hearing loss because before they never realized they were talking, like they were lip reading each other. So it's just something to think about.
Wow, that's so interesting, really. Thank you so much for sharing. So I'm actually going to speak next for the next 10 minutes about my degree. Basically, I am doing the Bachelor of Psychology at SACAP, which is the South African School of Applied Psychology. And just, to go back a bit, I also didn't know what I wanted to do while I was in school. I think that I kind of did know that I wanted to do psychology, but I didn't really know where I wanted to do it. Also, people had explained to me how it's very hard to get into masters and honors. So, I mustn't just do a BA and not do anything with that. So what happened is I took a gap year and I applied to SACAP. And someone told me before applying that there's actually 2 separate programs. So there is a program where you kind of just get in based on your marks. You really don't need very high marks. You don't need to take maths. But someone told me that I should try for this other program, which is called the Bachelor of Psychology program. And it basically just includes masters in the program. So, not masters, honors. So basically how that works is that at the end of your degree, you study for 4 years straight. And at the end, you become a registered counselor. And after that, you can get into masters, and it's much easier to get into masters this way. So I thought that I should just try. And how it works is it's actually through an interview process. So there's actually a lot of essays that you have to write, motivational essays to say why you think that you would be a good psychologist and why it's important to you. And then also it's just important that, in terms of the interviews, we did online interviews where they asked me questions, very random things, and I had to kind of just answer. I think that as well, a big thing for me, which they asked and came up a lot, is they asked about community service, if I'd done any in like high school, anything like that. So when I told them that I had, they phoned the places to see kind of what I had done. So it was actually very important. That was a big aspect to getting into this program. So thank God I got into the program. They actually only accept 20 people. So there's only 17 people in my class, like a maximum of 20, but they won't just accept anyone. So there's 17 people in my class now. And kind of how it works is our university schedule is 3 days a week. So for example, mine now is a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday, but it can be different for anyone. And I'm supposed to be on campus, but because of COVID, it's online. And so what we do is there's terms, and SACAP actually has very different holidays to Wits and to other universities. So it's divided up into 3 terms. And within each term, you take 3 modules. So for example, in term 1, it's called Introduction to Psychology, Counseling Modalities, and Academic Literacy. And now in the second term, I just did isiZulu, I did Introduction to Psychology B, and Counseling Modalities 2. And within all of these, we really are just learning obviously a lot of psychology, a lot of counseling, but also mainly we speak a lot about everything in a South African context, which is very cool. For example, we learned a lot about the Zulu culture and how if we got clients that are from Zulu tribes, we need to treat them differently to how maybe you would treat someone from a Western society, which I thought was very interesting. There's a month holiday in between each term, which is very awesome. And I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say. Sorry. Oh, in terms of like Jewish holidays and all of that, it's actually very, very good. They very respectful. You know, there's no anti-Semitism, thank God, at the university. Everyone's very respectful of each other. And the people in my class are the most amazing people. There's people from, you know, all different paths. So for example, there's someone in my class that's 18 who just finished school, and then there's someone in my class that's 47. So they really just try to take a vast group of people, and it's very, very interesting. And I really do highly recommend SACAP if you are thinking of doing psychology. I really do recommend going there. It's honestly magnificent campus. The lecturers are unbelievable. Everyone's so willing to help. There's a lot of support. There's also a lot of opportunities to do outreach work, and to, you know, they make it the easiest way possible to get into masters and into honors. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. So I think, I don't know, I hope that I've covered everything. Can you specialize? So yes, so how it works is you do this degree until you become a registered counselor. And then once you are registered, then that's when you go into the different fields of clinical psychology, maybe industrial psychology, educational, and you can branch out there. You can also stay and just be a registered counselor, which is 100% perfect and very needed. Actually, I think I could be wrong, but I think it's in my second and third year, we do community service where we go actually into rural villages and counsel the people there, which is very, very cool. Yeah, I think that's all from me. There's not really much information on it, but I'm very passionate about SACAP. I think it's an awesome place, and everything that I've learned is just really insightful. I honestly feel like it's making me into a better person, the best version of myself. And I've just loved meeting new people. I think like another note that I can add actually is that I'm in first year and I haven't been on campus. So I'm not sure if the matrics this year, if you guys are going to go onto campus next year because of COVID. But I think that I did find that a bit challenging, you know, being online. But hopefully things will calm down. We'll be able to go back in person. But I don't think that should, you know, make you guys anxious or anything like that. It's just obviously a bit different. You guys would know you've done online schooling. So I think it's just a bit different, but obviously things will be better when I get back on campus. But yeah, that's it from me. We're going to just take a 2-minute break, and then I'm going to hand over to Danica. Okay, cool. Sorry for that break, guys. But next up, we have Danica. Danica is in 4th year at Tax, and she is studying speech and language pathology. So, Danica, can you please share with us kind of what your degree is about and what Tax is about?
Hello, everyone. So as Kayla said, I am Danica Schlome, and I'm a 4th year speech language pathology student from the University of Pretoria. Speech language pathology is an exciting field that involves the assessment and treatment of speech, language, social communication, neuromotor speech, voice, fluency, and feeding and swallowing disorders. Speech language therapists work with people of all ages, ranging from premature infants in the neonatal ICU to geriatric patients. And because the scope of practice is very broad, speech language therapists can work in hospitals, in clinics, in schools, in rehabilitation centers, and also in private practice. We also work in multidisciplinary teams, and these teams include a wide variety of professionals. So this would include medical doctors, maxillofacial surgeons, ear, nose, and throat specialists, nurses, audiologists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and dietitians. And when we work in teams, it ensures that our patients are treated in a holistic manner. Speech language pathology is a 4-year degree, which upon completion requires a year of community service. There is also opportunity for further study in terms of a master's degree and a doctorate. So at the University of Pretoria, which is a fantastic university, and there's just such a vibe, it's just such a great university with so much support. But at the University of Pretoria, the structure of the degree is as follows. So in 1st year, we do more general subjects, which involve the anatomical and physiological basis for normal development. 2nd year is an exciting year because this is when all practicals start. So practical clinical work begins, and it generally occurs within a school setting where you deal with children with speech sound disorders. Then in 3rd year, clinical practicals also occur in a school environment with emphasis on language disorders. And this is coupled with practicals at schools for children with special education needs. So this would be things like autism spectrum disorder. And you also do observations at various hospitals and clinics. Then 4th year is a busy year, and this has a wide variety of clinical blocks. And these practicals are hands-on, so you deal with your patients. And it includes work at hospitals, clinics, rehabilitation centers, schools for children with hearing loss, homes for children with cerebral palsy, adult neurology centers, and university clinics. And the university clinics that are at Tax include the clinic for high-risk babies. So this is generally children between the ages of 0 and 36 months, so 0 to 3 years, that are not talking or are talking very little or have feeding and swallowing difficulties. We also have a fluency clinic, a voice clinic, an early intervention clinic, and an adult neuro clinic. The university lecturers and supervisors offer a lot of support to students. They are always an email, a WhatsApp, a call away, and you never feel alone, which is so important. It's a very small degree, so there are about 35 speech language pathology students in 4th year currently. So you get to know everyone in your degree, you get to know all the lecturers, and most importantly, the lecturers get to know you generally by name, which is great. So as speech language pathology is a very broad career, through experience, students and qualified speech language therapists tend to be passionate about specific areas of the field. So from personal experience, the area that I find most interesting is pediatric feeding and swallowing disorders. And this allows speech language therapists to work in the neonatal intensive care unit, providing services to vulnerable and or preterm infants with feeding and swallowing difficulties. So this could involve children born with genetic anomalies like Down syndrome or even cleft lip and palate. And progress in this area generally occurs quite quickly. So it's very rewarding, and it allows the patients to thrive, which is the ultimate goal. And feeding and swallowing disorders also involves lots of collaboration with parents and other healthcare and allied healthcare professionals, which creates a really interesting and dynamic working environment, while at the same time providing the patients, or in this case, the babies, with quality and evidence-based care. But like I said, speech language pathology is an exciting and fast-paced field. And to all of you who have applied or are hoping to apply for this very interesting degree, I wish you the best of luck. And please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.
Danica, thank you so much. If I can ask you just some questions about your degree. For starters, what would you say is the most challenging part of your degree, and what do people need to bring to the table in order to pass and qualify and get kind of through varsity?
And this probably goes for any degree, is just balancing your personal life, your social life, with your academic studies. So it's really important to obviously work hard at university, but also to take breaks and to come into university with a positive attitude and an attitude of learning. So being ready to learn and just grabbing every opportunity that comes your way.
And how have you found the adaptation to COVID? How has COVID affected studying, working, practical experience? And, you know, do you think, will that kind of continue into next year? How will that affect maybe first years looking into doing your degree?
So COVID has had a major impact on our degree. Obviously, when it comes to speech therapy and speech in general, we rely a lot on visual cues. So we use our faces and our mouths a lot. Now, using a mask doesn't really help. So we have to think of other ways to get our patients to understand what we are trying to get them to do. From personal experience, going into hospitals is not the most fun with COVID around. We go in with generally N95 masks and visors or goggles, because, like I said, we work with patients with swallowing disorders, and if a patient coughs in your face and you don't really know their COVID status, it can be quite dangerous. So from that point of view, it's been challenging, but it mustn't put anyone off, because it's really rewarding to see the impact that speech therapists can make in terms of patients who are post-COVID. So working in rehabs, a lot of these patients end up with swallowing difficulties, with voice difficulties from being ventilated or being in ICU for very long periods of time. So it's really rewarding, scary at the same time, but in terms of first year, you will probably be online for most of the year, and there aren't really practicals in first year. So hopefully by the time you guys come into the degree, COVID will be a little bit more under control.
All right, thank you. And just one more question. Do you have maybe one story or one kind of experience from university that you think encapsulates your degree, or kind of, if someone's thinking about it, kind of one anecdote or idea to give them that will maybe push them over the edge?
Okay, so like I said, my interest is pediatric feeding and swallowing. So I had a practical block at Steve Biko Academic Hospital, and I was mostly working in the neonatal ICU. And basically in hospital, you see your patients every day. So I was seeing a little preterm baby that was born with Down syndrome, and this baby had swallowing difficulties. So the first day I saw the baby, this little girl was really struggling to feed. She was not drinking any milk. So we did some therapy and we involved the mother. And the next day I walked into the NICU and the mother called me and she was like, last night, baby drank 10 mils of milk. And for me, that was so rewarding to see that in such a short period of time, how much difference you can make in the life of the baby, but not only the baby, the mother, because ultimately the mother is looking after this little child. And yeah, so for me, that was really rewarding. And I really hope that whoever chooses to study this degree finds it as rewarding and is as passionate about it as I am. So please, like I said before, if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to help anyone who wants to apply, or when you get into the degree, I'm more than happy to help. But yeah, best of luck and shana tova to everyone.